The importance of cell division. In this lesson, we're talking about how we go from zygote to adult, as well as the three main reasons for cell division, including reproduction, growth, and repair replacement. So how do we go from a single-celled zygote to a full-grown adult? Well, it's simply through cell divisions. Our one cell becomes two cells, which becomes four cells, which becomes trillions of cells, which becomes multiple trillions of cells, and with an average of approximately 37 trillion cells. So why do we need to have cell division? Well, there's three main reasons for cell division. Number one, reproduction. Number two, growth. And number three, repair replacement. Number one, cell division for reproduction. Reproduction is an important characteristic for all life. All things must reproduce. That includes bacteria, animals, us, everyone. Each time a cell divides, it produces two new cells, which can either be identical or different. Identical cells are created through a process called mitosis, which is also known as asexual reproduction, and our cells can be different. And this is a process called meiosis, which is accomplished through sexual reproduction. Number two, cell division for growth. All things must grow. When a multicellular organism grows, it increases its number of cells. So if we go from one cell to two cell to four cells, we're getting larger in size as we do so. A unicellular or one cell organism will enlarge its size slightly. So there are many single cell organisms in the world, and they're just simply going to stay as a single cell. They're not going to reproduce, and they only grow slightly as their cell size increases a little bit. So how large will a cell get? And why aren't we made of one or a few big cells? Like this guy here. Why can't we just be made up of a head cell, a body cell, a couple arm cells, a couple leg cells? Why can't we just simply be a 10-cell organism, for instance? Well, all cells need oxygen, water, and sugar to grow. So this is very important. Just like we need food, the cells need food as well. So these things need to be transferred into the cell as well as all around it. So the things that we need, like oxygen, water, and sugar, are going to come in, for instance, on this left side, and they're going to move throughout the entire cell, feeding the cell. And then things like carbon dioxide and waste need to be taken from the cell and removed from it. The movement of substances through the cell mainly occurs by a process called diffusion. And this is when things move from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. So how does this impact size? Well, if you take a look at our diagram on the bottom here, you're going to see what I mean. If you take a look at the different colored circles, you're going to see that they need to migrate from, in this case, the left side to everywhere in the cell. And this takes time. How much time? Well, it could be a second, it could be a microsecond, but it still takes time. And the cell needs these things really quick, and they need a constant supply. And if they don't get that constant supply, then the cell will die. So if a cell gets too large, chemicals and water cannot get where they need to go. This would cause the cell to either die from lack of nourishment, so no oxygen or sugar, or from poisoning, because of no waste removal. Therefore, cells have evolved to be small in size in order to survive. For instance, if we have two different cells, and one is that big, and the other is that big, things need to get from here, let's call it start, to finish, and start to finish. Well, the time it takes in a small cell to go from left to right, we'll just call that time. And the time it takes to go from start to finish in the big cell is bigger, and we'll call that big T. So since the time is larger in the second cell, it's going to take longer for the nutrients to go from the left side to the right side. If the cell is too big, then the cell will die because it needs these things faster than it's able to be supplied. Number three, cell division for repair and replacement. Every day your body sheds millions of dead skin cells, which are replaced by new ones. Your body replaces red blood cells about every 120 days. And cuts and broken bones need to be healed. So this is all reason for our cells to be constantly replacing our older cells. If you have a bone cell, for instance, and you get a break, well, you put a cast on that arm to hold it in place, and then the bones knit themselves back together. New cells are grown, old cells are destroyed, and the bone is put back to the way it was before. In the case of our red blood cells, they become old after time, approximately 120 days. And when they become old, then they don't function as well. So their function decreases. And when we get a decrease in function, then they're not going to work as well. We're not going to supply enough oxygen. We're not going to remove as much carbon dioxide. And our body's not going to be running as smoothly as it would if we have new, fresh cells. So what we do is we kill off the old ones and we make new ones. So the new ones replace the old ones and we're good to go. So keep in mind that this video here is slightly graphic in nature. So if you are squeamish about these kinds of things, I recommend not watching it. It's not necessary. It just shows that a leg can be broken pretty significantly and how amazing it is that the body is able to put it back together. But again, if you are squeamish or you're not comfortable, I recommend not watching the video.